Rain had just stopped falling, but the ground was still soaked with wickedness. Welcome to Nigerian Folktales. Subscribe for fresh content, and let's explore the richness of tales. Join our community of like-minded story lovers. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment for new stories every week. Thanks. Let's know where you are watching from in the comments section. In the small village of Umuokoro, a young boy named Emeka was busy sweeping the compound with a broom bigger than him. He was 10 years old, tall for his age, but lean like someone who had been fasting since birth. His palms were already hardened like mortar, and his eyes had forgotten what peace looked like. From inside the kitchen, a voice like thunder screamed, "Emeka, you've not finished sweeping and the firewood has not caught fire. Are you a boy or a broomstick?" That was Madame Rosaline, the stepmother from the underworld. She was shaped like a sack of Gary and had a permanent frown stuck to her face like it was sewn there. Since Emeka's real mother died during childbirth, Madame Rosaline had made it her mission to frustrate his existence. And Emeka's father? That one had sold his conscience to palm wine. Emeka muttered, "I'm coming, Ma," and ran inside with shaky feet, using his breath to blow life into the firewood. Rosaline entered the kitchen and hissed so hard, the fire nearly died again. "You are just like your mother, good for nothing. If not that your father is a goat, why will he bring a cursed child into this house?" Emeka swallowed tears. But that day, the devil whispered a new plan into Madame Rosaline's ear. Later that afternoon, she suddenly changed her tone. "Emeka, my son." Emeka froze. Wait, is she talking to me, or is there another Emeka behind me? She smiled, a creepy one. "Come, let's go and fetch water at the river together." Emeka was confused but nodded. He carried the yellow jerrycan and followed her barefoot. The river was calm that day, almost suspiciously calm. As they reached the bank, Rosaline looked around like someone planning armed robbery. She turned to him and said, "Come closer." "Yes, Ma." GBM. One push, one scream. Splash. Emeka's world turned to bubbles. The river swallowed him. He tried to scream, but the water filled his mouth. He kicked. He punched. He fought, but the water kept dragging him deeper. From afar into the riverbank, a boy named Fonnie, a street child, dark-skinned, barefoot, and wearing oversized shorts, was lying down beside an old canoe, chewing mango seed like it was chicken drumstick. He heard the splash and sat up. Wouldn't be that? He ran like lightning and jumped into the water without thinking twice. Seconds later, he dragged out Emeka and started beating his chest. "Hey, wake up. No Dio. No go leave me alone here, oh." Emeka coughed violently and spit out enough river water to form a swimming pool. They both lay on the sand, panting. Why did you save me?" Emeka asked, shivering. Fonnie blinked and smiled. "Because I know like to see person die, and you too small to give up." Then Emeka burst into tears. "She tried to kill me. She pushed me." Fonnie nodded. "Not people like that they call themselves mother. Me, I know even Sabi who born me. River Dawn almost take me too before." The two boys stared at each other for a moment, broken but alive. Then Emeka said, "Can I stay with you? Please, I don't want to go back." Fonnie smiled again, this time wider. "From today, Nami be your brother. No blood needed." That night, they slept under a wooden kiosk behind Mama Ngozi's Accra stall. Mosquitoes performed a concert on their ears, but they didn't care. They shared one sachet of water and half a loaf of bread. When Emeka shivered, Fonnie gave him his only shirt. As they drifted off to sleep, Emeka whispered, "Thank you for saving me." And Fonnie replied, "Nah, why I day here? To rescue stubborn people like you." They both chuckled. Little did they know that the world had just given birth to a bond that even time, distance, or poverty could not destroy. The next morning, the cock crowed like it was reporting them for sleeping under a kiosk. Emeka stretched, scratched his head, and looked around. No compound. No wicked stepmother. No insult. No kiboko. Just peace, and Fonnie drooling in his sleep beside a half-chewed mango. Emeka smiled for the first time in years. From that day, The boys became inseparable. They bathed in the river, begged on the streets, and hustled like old men trying to make rent. They shared everything: food, bruises, clothes, and even insults. When a Fonnie stole Accra and was caught, Emeka came to rescue him by pretending to faint on the road. That drama alone gave him enough distraction to escape and eat their stolen snack behind the mosque. They gave each other new names. Emeka was now Big Head because of his shiny forehead. Fonnie became Short Engine because of his height and speed. They fought a lot, too. One day, Fonnie shouted, "Who drink my water?" Emeka replied, "Your breath drink it. That's why it's smelling." But no matter the quarrel, they would always end up eating roasted corn together by evening. To survive, they started helping a roadside vulcanizer named Uncle Sylvester, who had no teeth but plenty of stories. If una sabi patch tire, well, I go give una a small change and maybe one sachet water. That was their first job. They learned fast, pumping tires, patching holes, and shouting, "Oya, comet rim," like professionals. Sometimes, they even raced to see who could patch fastest. Customers would laugh and say, "Who be these small children way sabi pass adult?" Fonnie would grin and say, "We be road born Pekin. Tarmac they our blood." They earned respect and small money, enough to buy bread, water, and the occasional soft drink on Sundays. They had no family, but they had each other. One day, a loud commotion broke out in Umuokoro village. Someone accused someone else of stealing a pregnant goat. Before anybody could say, "I know thief," a fight exploded like Christmas fireworks. People ran. Shops closed. Machetes flew. Gunshots echoed. Emeka and Fonnie were in the vulcanizing shop when the chaos started. "Run, Big Head!" Fonnie shouted. "You no need to tell me twice." Emeka replied. They grabbed their slippers and bolted. But in the confusion, in the stampede, in the smoke, they lost each other. Fonnie ran to the right. Emeka ran to the left. And just like that, silence. Emeka was picked up the next morning by the village vigilante, who handed him to the police. They assumed he was a lost child and took him to the city. He cried. He begged them to help him find his brother. He screamed Fonnie's name from the bus window until he lost his voice. But nothing. Fonnie returned to the river, waiting every evening. He even placed bread on a stone like an offering, whispering, "Big Head, if you're alive, come and collect. I day wait for you." Days passed. Weeks passed. No sign. The bond of brotherhood they built with sweat, hunger, and laughter was now shattered by fate. But what they didn't know was that the same destiny that scattered them was already planning the stage for their reunion. And oh, when it comes, the world will shake. When Emeka opened his eyes the next morning, it wasn't the sun in his face this time. It was a ceiling fan, a real one, spinning, and beneath it, a bed, a real one too, with white sheets and the scent of something rich. He jumped up confused. "Abi, I die?" Then he heard a soft woman's voice. "He's awake." A man in a suit walked in with the woman. They were smiling, the kind of smile you only see in baby food adverts. The couple was Chief and Madam Okafor, a childless, wealthy pair who'd been praying for a son for years. The police had brought Emeka in from a village riot. Something about his quietness and pain touched Madam Okafor's heart. She whispered to her husband that day, this is our son." They didn't just give him a home. They gave him a life. Emeka, now called Emmanuel Okafor, went to the best private schools, wore designer uniforms, ate 3 square meals and 2 half moons. He had his own room, a bunk bed, and even toothpaste that smelled like mango. But every night before sleeping, he looked out the window and whispered, "Fonnie, were you?" Fonnie remained behind. No school, no silver spoon, no mansion. But he had his hands, and they were gifted. He continued working under Uncle Sylvester, mastering every detail of engines, tires, bolts, and batteries. By age 17, he could dismantle a car engine and reassemble it faster than chicken lays egg. He was now known as Mechanic Pro Max. People from neighboring villages started calling him for emergency jobs. But every time someone drove in with a tinted glass car, he stared deeply at the window, hoping it was Emeka. One day, he'd whisper, "We go jam again." Back in Lagos, Emmanuel grew sharper by the day. He loved machines, especially cars. It was like a Fonnie's talent had somehow remained in his blood. He built a toy car in JSS3 that ran on soap water and spoilt battery. His classmates screamed, teachers clapped, and his parents cried for joy. Fast forward to university. He studied mechanical engineering and computer science. By 25, he started a tech company that built smart diagnostic kits for vehicles. By 27, he became the CEO of Auto Brain Systems. By 30, he was already on Forbes' list. But even with all the money, interviews, awards, and luxury, Emmanuel's heart had a hole. Where's my brother? My real brother? He searched, hired private investigators, posted online, even went to the river they once played by. But no clue, no face, no Fonnie. One lived in a mansion with automatic doors. One slept in a one-room mechanic shop with oil stains on the wall. One drove a Bentley. One pushed cars to start them. But their hearts still beat to the same rhythm. They both wore the invisible chain of brotherhood. Both still held on to the memory of that one day. The day the river didn't kill, it united. And fate? Fate was cooking something. The table was being set. The surprise was on its way. It was a hot Thursday afternoon in Lagos. Fonnie, now 30, was dripping with sweat under his work overalls. His hands were black with grease. His singlet had seen better days, and his toolbox looked like it had been through the Civil War. But one thing hadn't changed, his heart of gold and his hope that one day, one blessed day, he would see his brother again. He was sipping malt mixed with groundnut when his cracked Android phone rang. "Hello, is this Mechanic Pro Max?" "Yes, nah. You date talk to the engine wizard himself." "Okay, good. Our company driver mentioned you. Come to Auto Brain Systems at Banana Island. One of our CEO's cars is acting up." Fonnie almost dropped the phone. Banana Wedding? Banana Island. The place you hear about on TV, but never see in real life. He dusted his shirt, shined his shoes with engine oil, packed his best banner, and whispered himself, "Today, not today." He got to the massive glass office of Auto Brain Systems and stared at the fountain in front like it was a swimming pool for rich people's thoughts. Inside, a lady led him to the executive car park. "The Benz belongs to our CEO," she said. Fonnie opened the bonnet like a pro, did his thing, and within minutes, the engine purred like a satisfied cat. As he bent to clean his tools, he heard someone walk behind him and say, "Impressive work. How much do we owe you?" Fonnie stood up, wiped sweat from his face, and turned around and froze. Standing in front of him was a tall, well-dressed man in a wine-colored suit with a clean-cut beard. But Fonnie wasn't looking at the man's face. He was staring at the small L-shaped scar just under the man's neck. A scar from years ago. From the day they played hide and seek, and Emeka hit a rusty nail while climbing a tree. He pointed. "W8, that scar, Emeka?" The CEO's eyes widened. He whispered, "No one calls me that anymore. How do you—" "Jesus. Emeka, it's me. Afianiatai." They both ran into each other's arms. Tools fell. Security watched in confusion. They hugged like long-lost lovers. Tears soaked suits and overalls. "I thought you died. I thought you died. You get 6 packs now, oh. You still no grow tall." They laughed. They cried. They jumped. They screamed. People came out of offices thinking it was a fire drill. Emeka, now Emmanuel, shouted, "Fonnie, you're alive. After all these years, you're still real." Fonnie replied, "Now only mosquito way bite me fit testify how I miss." They didn't even finish work that day. Emmanuel canceled all meetings. They sat down in his office, ate jollof rice, and talked for 5 straight hours. Emeka showed him baby pictures from his adopted family. Fonnie showed him his mechanic workshop and engine trophies. They laughed about the stolen Acura, the kiosk nights, and the river rescue. Then Emmanuel stood up and said, "What if I told you I want to open the biggest vehicle diagnostics and auto workshop in Africa?" And I go roll engine for joy. Emeka smiled. "And I want to do it with you, my real brother." In the morning, the sun rose differently that day. Because in Lagos, two street boys, one abandoned, rejected, and forgotten, were now about to change history. After their emotional reunion, Emmanuel and Fonnie teamed up and built the largest auto tech and mechanical workshop in Africa, called Twin Torque Innovations. Located on a 10-acre land in Lekki, the workshop had robotic arms for engine diagnostics, a test track for luxury vehicles, an academy to train street kids in automotive tech. When journalists asked why they named it Twin Torque, Emeka said, "We were never born twins, but pain made us brothers. Now we spin together." Their faces were on magazine covers. Interviews flooded in. They were billionaires, but with street sense and golden hearts. And their first official policy? We don't fix only cars. We fix lives. They employed over 2,000 people, most of them orphans, street boys, and abandoned youths. Now billionaires. It didn't take long before love entered the chat. Fonnie met Anita, a sharp, funny tailor who once helped him fix his torn trouser during hustle days. Emeka fell for Amaka, a beautiful tech consultant who beat him at a coding competition and then laughed at him for sulking. Before long, the two brothers sat down over suya and zobo and made a decision. You know what? Wedding. Let's marry on the same day. Madness. I love it. They didn't just do a wedding. They did a national event. Twin white horses. Twin Rolls Royces. Twin traditional outfits from Enugu and Anambra. Twin groomsmen wearing matching igbadas. Davido, Flavor, and Topalabi all performed. Even presidents sent a gift. Social media couldn't breathe. Hashtags were flying. Hashtag from river to riches. Hashtag brothers by torque. Hashtag double wedding of destiny. Tears flowed. Laughter overflowed. And as they danced, Fonnie whispered, "Big head. See as God change our story." Emeka replied, "Short engine, this one past miracle, nah movie." After the wedding, they entered their private jet, flanked by 2 G-Wagon convoys and a media team. Destination? Umuokoro Village, the same village that spat them out, now about to receive sweet pepper soup karma. As they stepped out in flowing white senator were with diamond brooches, children screamed, elders bowed, and Madame Rosaline, she fainted twice before she even saw them fully. She was now wrinkled, alone, and her shop had collapsed. Emeka walked up to her. "Do you remember me?" She stuttered, "Eem ka? The same boy you threw into the river. You thought I died, but God sent me a brother." Fonnie stepped forward, chest high. "I be that brother. Street born, river raised, destiny sealed." They didn't curse her. They didn't arrest her. They bought her house, renovated it, and turned it into a shelter for abused children. Then they donated a hospital, built a water borehole, and gave scholarships to every orphan in the village. The town square erupted with tears. One old man said, "Two street boys have done what our leaders could not do. Chinik eh." Years later, a statue was unveiled beside the river. 2 boys hugging with grease-stained shirts and mangoes in their pockets. The plaque read, "Brothers by the river, bound by pain, united by fate, raised by love." And as the sun set, 2 old men, still fresh, still rich, still smiling, sat beside the statue, laughing over roasted corn. Because even though life gave them thorns, they found their way back. Together,